Welcome to Miracle Mondays with Rae Lashea. I am Rae Lashea and I'm back. Oh my goodness. It has been, oh my gosh, over a month. And I'm happy to be back. And we have a great guest for you today, Mr. Steve Raack, the CEO of Vitalibus. So let's go ahead and bring him on in.
Hey,
Hi, Steve.
how are you?
Fine. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. Good to see you again.
You too. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's wonderful to have you. I know you're busy running a company and graduating children and
Oh my
grandchildren.
gosh, everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah. So if you would please let the people know who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So my name's Steve Rack. Actually, go on, let's do on the personal side. Husband, father of three. Love anything outdoors, love friendship, love family, but also an entrepreneur. So I've been pretty much an entrepreneur since I was 14 years old. So I've done quite a few different things. But have worked in large corporations. And when I was in large corporations, I always had my own business on the side as well. And today, I just love scaling and building businesses and creating businesses, and just everything about it is great. I don't like the big stuff anymore. I like the smaller stuff. I love the smaller businesses, and yeah, so I'm doing a lot of things in that nature right now.
And so one of the main things you do is CBD.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
And actually, I heard about Vitalibus and you through Athena Chang, who
Oh,
was
perfect.
my high school mentor.
Oh, nice.
And one thing I know about Athena, she is very particular about people and companies that she attaches her name to.
Mm,
And when she told me about Vitalibus and you, she mentioned she worked with you, and you were very particular about clean
mhm,
beauty, clean health,
mhm.
clean products. Why is that so important to you, especially in a world where people just cut costs in
Yeah.
order to make the profit versus, keep the people healthy?
Yeah, it's a great question. I kind of moved in that direction probably in 2008, I would say, where I started getting involved in product development and understanding where people were cutting costs, where they were not necessarily being true, and it just kind of irritated me on the ethical level. But then also I have a daughter with special needs, and so researching special needs, researching bioaccumulation of nasty ingredients that can kind of build up in your body. It may not happen tomorrow, but it's the accumulation over time that causes some health impacts, right? So what you put on your skin is your largest organ. So people don't realize that, and they're just, oh, that's okay, I'll put it on my skin, and then as they bioaccumulate or as it does impact the endocrine system or any of the other systems in the body, it started to kind of bother me. And then I found out that a lot of these big companies have formulas that are very safe, that are regulated in different countries in like the European Union, but they were not using those safe formulas here in the United States. It really kind of, again, on an ethical, a reverency level, it just didn't sit with me well.
Right.
So joined Beauty Counter back in the 2012 days. That's where I met Athena, and so that mission was all about just being safe, right? So we had a great ingredient screen with Christy Coleman, Mia Davis, some other folks who put blood, sweat, and tears in there. Learned a ton about what the alternatives were, and that you could make a high performing quality product that it was also safe for you. And so that was a big push for me. But I've been in that kind of clean, safe kind of space since 2008, and then nowadays it's pretty much you have to be in that space, right? Well, some people are on the edge, right? Some people, and and they make up stuff, and you're like, that doesn't sound right, and you dig into it. But yeah, it is that, and my daughter having special needs was the other piece. It was just really, I had to find out what was going on and what she was putting both in her body and on her skin, and I just love it. I love the space.
Right. And so you were ahead of the curve when it came to having to be in this space because you were
Mm,
already doing it back in 2008. And I was a
yeah.
special needs teacher for many years.
Oh,
So
nice.
I know very much how when a student eats a healthy meal
Mm,
versus a not so healthy meal, the difference in just how they react and act and things like
yeah,
that.
for sure.
Um, so for people who don't know, what is CBD?
Yeah, it's a good question. So CBD it's three letters that's just blasted everywhere the last couple of years. Unfortunately, it's one element of many elements in the cannabis plant, right? So people hear the word cannabis and they kind of get nervous, like, oh, did you just fail a drug test because you just heard the word? No, it's like there's a litany of things that happen, but cannabis has more of the THC side and the CBD side. But those are what's called cannabinoids, right? So the word that people can't pronounce is cannabinoids. You have a system inside your body called the endocannabinoid system. Most people were never taught about it. They never learned about it. They don't know anything about it. And they just think, oh, CBD does this. Well, I like to strip it back and say your system, just like your immune system or your digestive system, you have an endocannabinoid system that's looking for naturally produced, let's call them cannabinoids in the body. If those receptors are sitting there going, I'm starving, you could manifest into other ailments like anxiety or pain or sleep issues or any of those types of things. So if your body's not in balance or what's called homeostasis, typically your endocannabinoid system is out of balance, meaning you're not satisfying those receptors internally. So if you look at CBD, which is a cannabinoid, one of many cannabinoids, it can actually help satisfy those receptors, calm the body, and or do whatever it needs to do to allow the body to get into homeostasis. But CBD is really only one cannabinoid of many. There's CBN, CBG, there's a ton of these things in the plant. So the majority of the marketplace still needs to be educated on what this really means. And it's almost like when someone says to me, "Oh, I'm taking CBD," it's almost like you're drinking wine or eating cereal. Like, what? Like, what kind of wine? What kind of cereal?
Right.
CBD is the category of products. It's not a product, right? So, but the education is still missing in a lot of people and a lot of brands, and especially if they see a sign at CBD at a gas station for $29, you're like, I don't know if I'd be taking that. There's a lot of variation in that product, right? So.
So are there naturally occurring CBD? Like if we ate something that we could satisfy those receptors?
Yeah, there's more. Cannabis has so many of these that it's actually the one plant that actually really has tremendous amount. You produce it internally. So when a woman actually is breastfeeding her child, and the child gets like, oh, comatose, you're like, oh, food coma. A lot of that is the naturally occurring cannabinoids coming from the breast milk to the child, which calms the child down, which puts the child in kind of that state of relaxation, right? But if you're not producing it internally, you could use other types of plant materials, but the cannabis plant has just so many, and the terpenes and the chlorophylls and all the other things that you get such benefits from it. And CBN, CBG comes with typically what's called full spectrum CBD oil, right? It has more elements to it. So it really is such a beautiful plant that unfortunately is misunderstood and stigmatized because of some of the THC side. But, wherever you grew up, however it comes up, it is what it is, right? But
Right.
educationally wise, it's a pretty impressive with you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Let me welcome a few people who joined us. Tracy Cherry, the Natasha Cooks, Musical 294, Armiv 17. Welcome to Miracle Mondays with Rae Lashea. I'm Rae Lashea. I'm your host, and I'm here with Steve Raack, the CEO of Vitalibus, which is a wellness company.
Mm.
And we're talking about CBD at this time. Um, have you always been interested in cannabinoids and CBD? And if not, when did you become interested in it?
No, so I was actually against a lot of cannabis growing up. I grew up surfing. I saw people, I was around marijuana all my life, to be honest with you. And I just wasn't for me because I was an athlete and didn't want to get in trouble and so forth. So I've been around it. I just wasn't my thing, right? But our oldest daughter has special needs, and we were going through a tough time with her. She has tremendous behavioral challenges. She has a whole bunch of stuff going on. And I'm in the clean space, and she was on 5 pharmaceutical drugs, and I just don't like it. I just didn't like it. I haven't liked it. I never will like it. And so I was like, she's just not in balance. So I started researching CBD probably in, I would say 2013,
Okay.
right? Well before the mainstream talked about it. And it was still a very shady space, right? And so I wanted to try it for her because I knew she was not in balance. And what I found in my research, mostly coming out of Israel at the time, because that's where they were doing a lot of cannabis research, I found that CBD was really good for getting you back into balance. I kept saying she's not in balance. So I tried it one day and it changed her life. And
Wow.
so she was on 5 pharmaceuticals. Now she's on one. And life is just 1,000% better. She was in a moderate to severe special ed class, and now she's in mild to moderate. Changed our family dynamic, but that was the time that I'm still in the safe space, and I was like, my goodness, this stuff is disgusting. It's really, really bad for you, even though it had the benefits. The way that they were extracting it and producing it, and the supply chain was just horrible. That's what got me into it, and that's why I built a USDA certified organic supply chain, because I was like, I needed to have that for her. And then when people started resonating with it, I was like, well, maybe I can make a business out of it. Maybe
Okay.
we can be that spot, because I'm an entrepreneur at heart, right? But it first and foremost, and will always be a priority for me, for her, to get the best quality for her. Because again, CBD is like wine. You can have the $2 bottle of wine that can get you drunk. You have a
Right.
hangover, it doesn't taste so damn good. Or you go get a nice bottle of wine. It's still wine at the end of the day,
Right.
right? But where did the grape come from? How was it processed? What was the quality? There is a lot of that in the CBD world, but most people have no idea. They just see it and buy it and they take it and they trust it. And I'm like, ugh. So that's kind of where it came about. But it was all because of my daughter, for sure.
Now I use the products.
Mm.
I also became an ambassador.
Oh, yes, yes.
And a lot of my family members use it. There's the 300, which actually
Mm.
my mom was like, hey, I have an extra one here, you know, so
Yeah,
300, and there's the 600,
yeah,
and there's 900, which I ran out of. And they all, for me, do something a little different.
right.
Can you speak to the difference in milligrams or strength, and then
Yeah.
also how you collaborated with the Bruce Lee Foundation for the 900?
Yeah, yeah, good. So they're different strengths, because unlike kind of like a Tylenol take two and call me in the morning, the way that your body is, you may need more than your friend or your sister or your mom. So depending on how out of whack your system is and how much you need to have a little bit more cannabinoids in the body, that's why we have different levels, right? And so the 300, the 600, the 900, those I did them because they're easy math, first of all. So 300 milligrams of CBD inside a bottle of the 300, 30 servings, so 10 milligrams per dropper, right?
Very
So
good. Okay.
600 divide 600 by 30, 20 milligrams a dropper, and 900 divided by 30 milligrams per dropper. So it helps you with the dosage versus, well, how do I divide 250 milligrams by 30 servings? It's just kind of a mess. So
Right.
I'm a simple person, 300, 600, 900. But 300 is really for someone who wants to get started and try it. We have a phrase, go low, start low and go slow. So don't go out there and go crazy on stuff and start taking things that you don't know. Like, start low and see if it has an impact for you. How does it make you feel? If you don't feel it, move up a little bit, move up a little bit. So depending again on multiple factors of the body, the 300 was really, dogs, cats, kids, people who are nervous about CBD, just start off with the 300, right? The 600 is really kind of the sweet spot. That's our number one seller. So
Yeah.
we're actually out of stock of the 300, the 900 right now, unfortunately. So sorry to share that. But the
It's actually,
600,
this one is my
that's the one.
favorite
Yeah, that's our number
because
one.
it's right in between.
Hmm.
900 gives me like super clarity and I can work
Yeah.
real well. But
Hmm.
this one keeps me right in that balance,
Yeah.
that, as you said, that sweet spot where I'm
Hmm.
not too high. I'm not 300 kind of is great for my sleep. And that's
Yeah.
just me, you know.
Yeah.
But you see, I mean, like I'm
Oh,
in
yeah.
this one all the time.
Yeah, the 600 is mine. Like, I do 900 when I do sports, work out, stuff like that. I also get clarity. So the actual additional herbs that are in that particular product are focused on energy and focus, right? So about 50% of our customers will say, "Oh my goodness, I'm so open. My mind is clear. I'm creative. I'm out." I do it because I like that feeling for sports. I like that feeling for competition. So I like that, but I don't do it at night because otherwise I'd be up solving world peace until whatever. So the 600, I don't have that because it doesn't have those herbs in it, right? So, but that's kind of where those are. But the 600 is really just it's a beautiful, beautiful level and a very good formula, right? And so that is by far our number one seller. Yeah.
And it also, and I'll show people, uh, I use this one so much. My dropper's falling apart on me. That's me. Um, it's it's clean. It's
It's
not
really,
dark. It's
yeah.
not heavy. It's
Mm,
really a beautiful and has a nice flavor to it.
hmm
Um, and I mean, I love it. I
mm.
absolutely love your products. Now, not only do I love and stand by the CBD oils, but also I used to use actually the CBD oils on my
Oh,
face
you did, yeah.
before the beauty line came out, the
Oh, nice.
skincare products came out. And then once they came out,
Yeah.
obviously, I only use the face wash to take my makeup off.
Yeah.
And then I use the eye cream and the regular face cream.
Mm,
That's the only thing aside from natural coconut oil or olive oil that I'll put
mm,
on my face. How
yeah.
did you decide to start the skincare line?
Yeah, interesting. You have beautiful skin, by the way.
Thank
So,
you.
yeah, so being in the skincare world, it, I owned those formulas. I had built those formulas for my family again, because I'm a little weird like that, right? So I like to make stuff just because I'm like, you know what? I wanted these particular ingredients in the skincare line. And so I went to a friend who's a chemist and I used to just buy little batches from him, pay him $1,000 here and buy enough for a long period of time. And so I had those formulas, but I had never dropped CBD into them. And then I was like, let's try if we drop a little CBD oil into them, if it messes up, if it does something. And it actually made it formula way more hydrating and beautiful. So that was back and forth. Should I put these into Vitalibus or should I start another company? Again, the entrepreneur side, right? And I was like, let's just put them in there and put some CBD products. And because I know the cost of those products, we can make them a lot cheaper than other companies who are trying to market CBD skincare. So we put them in there, but it has astaxanthin, kakadu plum, and now full spectrum oil in there, as well as some other beautiful ingredients. But it's very hydrating. It's very good for your skin. And again, I have 3 girls and a wife, and I was like, I wanted them to have a product
Right.
that I trusted, but I didn't want to also pay $150 for an eye cream, which I know doesn't cost that, right? So
Right.
I'm like, I'll make my own and buy it for the family. And I knew where it was all sourced from. I knew, what I mean? If you got the comfort factor of that, and most people don't have those connections nor the experience in that, but I did. And then I was like, let's just bring it in and see what happens. And it's done well. Yeah, I use it every single day, twice a day myself.
Yeah.
My kids use it from 14-year-old all the way to 18-year-old. My wife uses it. So we're addicted to it. Yeah. But
I
it's
mean,
good.
when I travel, I don't travel without
Mm,
these for sure. And what's so great is that they are
under
the
three
right
ounces.
size
Yeah.
for travel. You can
Yeah.
carry it on, and I really I
Oh,
say
thanks.
that I wouldn't be without my
Mm,
skincare from
mm.
Vitalibus. Now, I normally do not get up, but I'm going to. 1 second, because I forgot to bring over another product
Oh, yeah.
that was a lifesaver for me when I
Mm,
had back pain from
mm,
a car
mm,
accident.
mm.
And can you speak to this? It says soothing body cream, but it's so
Yeah.
much more than that.
It's no joke. Yeah. So that is because I wanted to make a really, really strong, soothing. We can't say certain types of word in that space because the pain space is considered an OTC drug, right? So you have to be careful with that space. But I went out and got wintergreen oil, camphor bark oil, and menthol, and put a couple of these things together. So you can smell the strength of that even through the
Yeah.
tube.
Yeah.
You can smell it through the box sometimes when it shows up. It's very strong. But I wanted something that was also formulated very thin so that you can massage it into the muscles and the tissue and the dermis. So I created that and then dropped CBD into that as well because of all the sports related challenges and or accidents and different things that people have. So I always recommend that for any kind of troubled area where you massage it in and let it sit for about 15 minutes and then do it again. Let it sit for 15 minutes and do it again. So
Okay.
for your first time, do it 3 times and put it in. So that is actually, our retail price of that is $9 an ounce, which is so far underneath what most CBD companies are charging for a similar product. But that product is a clean product. That product has all the beneficial ingredients that you would get, let's say, in a Bengay, but Bengay is going to be all synthetic, right? This is
Uh-huh.
going to be all natural. And so it's extremely strong. I tell people don't put it next to sensitive skin areas, right? Don't touch your face, no armpits. Like
Right,
be
because it
careful.
has
Yeah.
that menthol, that
It's
eucalyptus.
yeah, it's
Um,
strong.
but it's worth it.
Yeah.
I think this is the second bottle that I'm
Mm,
on, but I haven't used it in a long time because
mm,
I'm really don't have the pain anymore. I
mm,
used
mm,
to massage it into my shoulders, my lower back, and as
mm,
Athena told me, put it under my feet, before
mm,
bedtime. And
mm.
so I would do that, and you don't need a whole lot. It's
No,
really and anytime, like, yeah, oops, I put
it's
too
very
much.
thin. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
thin.
So there it is. And then, like, even if you have just a long day on your feet, or sometimes people have arthritis in their hands, just rubbing that in there
Mm,
really will make the difference the next day.
yeah.
Because for me, it has taken away the pain.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's a special product. It's really strong. I tell people all the time, it's very strong. So be careful. Be careful with how much you
Yeah,
use.
don't,
Yeah, yeah,
don't.
don't touch the face. Yeah, but we have people in certain communities like senior communities, and one person tells 5 people who tell 10 people, and we have people who buy like 10 tubes at a time. It's funny to watch, but it's a special product. And I play a sport that sport everybody's got it. Like every single person carries it in their bag, and it's so
Yeah,
funny because I've never once said it, but one person told one person. It's one of those products that actually, when you're using it and you get the benefits of it, you may not need it, but
right,
for a month, right? And then you've
right,
got it. But you know that if it's a shoulder, a back, or a wrist, or an ankle, or a quad, I put it on my back and my shoulder every time I play.
right,
So it's just because it warms me up, you know. It's part of the ritual now, you know. So,
right,
but
right.
it's good. Yeah, it's another one of those products that I had kind of again. I had my own formula and I dropped some CBD into it just to kind of align with Vitalibus. But they're good regardless of the CBD, and that just enhance. It's like the orchestra leader. It just enhances those products.
For anyone who is looking to become an entrepreneur, and you said
Mm,
you started many companies on the side as you worked a regular job as well,
hmm.
what advice would you give them?
You know, it's not for the faint of heart, especially if you want to grow it, right? And you want to grow it fast, right? So, you know, I started multiple companies and closed them too because they were just a period of time for me. I didn't want them long term, but they were something I really wanted at a period of time. I think you have to have passion and purpose for it, and you have to understand that it's not going to be easy. And your best friends are not going to always buy your product. And your mom's not going to always buy your product. And your cousins and all, they're not going to support you. They might once in a while, but it's like the closest people to you have the most resistance sometimes to what you're doing. And that hurts until you go, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And you just keep moving forward. But you have to have the passion, the purpose, and the commitment to it because it'll have its ups and downs in the same day. You'll be like, I'm amazing. I'm terrible. I'm broke. We got money. I'm broke all in the same day, right? And so it's tough. But the one thing, if you're going to do a product business, make sure you capitalize it because you need inventory ahead of being able to sell it. And so most of the times people will go into business and it's so exciting and then they'll spend $50,000 or $20,000 on inventory and then they can't market it. They don't have any money to market it. And
Right.
so inventory is dead money if you can't market it, right? So there's just a lot of things in there, but it's not for the faint of heart. But my goodness, is it fun and is it exciting? And you know what? Fail fast, learn and move on. I mean, I love it. I think I've failed many times. I've borrowed against the 401k. I've done it all, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, a supportive wife and a passion to do stuff. The last thing I'll tell you is that get a product that's actually a niche product that people need and want. Because if you're trying to sell eye cream, it's a tough one. But if you're trying to sell something on the side that is an add-on it's really kind of a nice approach, and test the market first, right? Before you jump in and throw tons of thousands of dollars, like see if people want it,
Right.
right? Because there's a lot of times that you have the best idea in the world, and people like it's either too there's too much education that they don't get it, or it's just nah, not for me, and you just, well, can't you see this? I mean, I made an app one time, and it was the greatest thing in the world, and I was like, we got 10,000 downloads in the first like 2 hours, 3 hours, and the VC was like, great job, do it again. And I was like, oh my God, like I thought you just wanted it once, like we were done, like we're out of money, we're out of like out of everything, like we did it. Oh, you do it
Right.
again?
Do it again.
And
Right.
we couldn't do it again, and so we just couldn't get off the ground. So we had this beautiful blip that you think, oh my God, I'm going to be the next Facebook. They said, do it again, and you're just like, oh yeah, I can't do it again, I ran out of money. So
Right.
yeah, it's there's a lot of different learnings, but it's just a blast. But don't go into it thinking that it's going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but enjoy the process, learn from it, and it's also good to let it go once in a while too. If it's not yours and it's not going to work, let it go and move on or pivot. The people who hang on too long, sometimes it hurts, but also like when you get one, ride the pony, like go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And tell the world, don't be unapologetic, be that person that's the best evangelical person that you can for your own product, but there's a lot in there. I mean, it's not for the faint of heart, but my goodness, is it so rewarding.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love that. If it's to be, it's up to me.
Yeah. And
So
you're the only one that's going to wake up every day feeling like that. And to think that the rest of the people in your own house are thinking that way, they're not thinking that way, right? But it also, if you're going to just sit there and say, okay, build it and they will come, the Field of Dreams thing, that's a unicorn, right? You've got to get it in front of people. You got to educate people. Like you doing this to me is amazing. Thank you. You know what I mean? That kind of approach, and take every call, you know what I mean? And if the call is worth 2 minutes, then give them 2 minutes, right? Get off. But if
right.
the call is worth an hour, stay on, right? But take every call and make a choice like, nope, not worth me anymore. Hey, the dog's barking, I gotta go.
Gotta go.
Make up a fake baby. I got a baby, I gotta go. Do what you gotta do, but understand that if it's a 2 minute call, then it's a 2 minute call and you're gone, right? So, but
Yeah.
take the calls.
Take all the calls, but keep them in their place.
Mm.
Let me just welcome the Onco and Dimples 421, Grace Guzel 1919. Welcome to Miracle Mondays with Rae Lashea. Steve, I want to thank you so much for being here and
Thank you.
educating us on CBD and your company Vitalibus. Where can people find you and find the products?
Yeah, so vitalibus.com. And one of the people said, well, how do you say the name? So we created it, Vitality Through Cannabis, right? So if you can remember Vitalibus, it's Vitality Through Cannabis. And we had we got the domain for $8. I mean, that's the other thing too, right? It's hard to name a company, right?
Right. Everyone,
It's hard.
everyone owns all the domains out
They
there.
do.
So.
Yeah. And then we had the Instagram, we had all that. So it's hard to do that, right? But for $8 specifically, it's really hard. But vitalibus.com, you can also hit me up at srack11 on Instagram. You can hook me up on LinkedIn. It's hard to catch up with all the different things, so give me some time. But
Yeah.
but that's it. And there's special things. So DM me for codes, DM me for different things. We'll connect them to our ambassadors and different folks like yourself. And we're just very humble and grateful for all the help and all the connections. And if there's any questions, seriously, let's talk through them, because that's part of what we're trying to do is we say be informed and be well, right? And don't just take any product that you don't know what's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I stand by this product. I take it
Mm,
myself. I refer family and friends to it. In my bio, my ambassador website is there,
mm,
vitalibus.com/Rachel Blaze Ballard. So you can also
mm.
check that out.
Yeah.
Also, for all of you watching, please visit my website at
Mm,
www.lessproblemsmoremiracles.com. You can check out the books that I have there, as well as make sure to return next Monday when I'll have another fabulous guest. And Again, Steve, just thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
Really appreciate you taking the time and being here today.
You
Thank you,
too.
all viewers and audience members. And until next week, have a miraculous day.
Be well. Take care. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye.